All right, thank you so much, everyone, for attending our Hear from Peers on this Friday, Chilly Friday. We have here two very distinguished speakers from the university libraries, especially from the Open Resources team. We have Sayed Abdullah Sakrani and then Johanna White. They will share with us some ideas about creating ancillaries with AI and OER online. I will give the time to both of you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Armanto. We are really pleased to be here and to have our department part of the CTE here from Peers series. This is really important. We value our partnership with you all, and we hope that the message of open reaches all of the faculty and instructors who get to be a part of this program and benefit from your series. So thank you so much for inviting us. I'm going to start my slides here. Give me just 1 second. Yeah, I'm a little, I think I might be nervous. Okay, what do I want?
Go to
Um,
the right, there is slideshow.
there we
Yeah,
go.
that's the same too.
God, I never do this on Google anymore. All right. So, hello and welcome. Our topic today is concerns how faculty can go ahead and actually save some of their very precious time when it comes to preparing ancillaries for their courses by leveraging AI and using open educational licensed materials in order to go ahead and create those ancillaries. So, what are we going to go over today? We'll talk a little bit about examples of the types of ancillaries that can be created. I'll give you a quick refresher on OER, what it is, and the openly licensed portion of it. And then we'll move on to a small smattering of tools that you can use in order to go ahead and do this. And we'll share some best practices to wrap up. We also hopefully will have a bit of time. If anyone would like a live demo of something, we are happy to demo a couple of these tools and show you, hey presto, how you can make ancillaries with these. So, a couple of example types. Slides, obviously that everybody is using these and making these and storing them in their Canvas. So AI will go ahead and make slides for you, your choice. Banks of questions, quiz questions, review questions, final exam questions. It will make all kinds of things with the right kinds of prompts. Study guides or reading guides, you can make them and make them interactive in your course. Prompts for activities, whether it's an in-class activity or an assignment type. Lots of types of images can be made with AI. I'm sure you all have seen many, many examples of that, but it could be charts, diagrams, photographs, all kinds of things can be made in order to leverage AI and make this easily available to you if you have, like me, no real Photoshop skills. Um, and lastly, one of the things that probably should get more attention is the ability of AI to go ahead and give you at least a rough to middling translation into another language in order to offer multilingual support to your learners. And it's available in a really wide variety of languages. Um, so let's see, you can still, as it turns out, depending on, regardless of your ancillary type, given that we are going to use something that is openly licensed, an existing OER, you still get to use those 5 Rs in terms of reviewing, revising, and shaping that output. But using AI will, of course, accelerate your process, right? So, why are we doing this? Again, that acceleration piece to save your precious time. And if you go ahead and leverage the openly licensed part of open educational resources, these things are generally remixable. Um, you can also, again, a very important piece is to reduce that cost barrier for your students, lowering the costs inherent in higher ed, which is always going to be with us for the future. And one of the fun things about using openly licensed material is given that remixable nature of it, you can localize it for your students. If you want to add Texas flair, if you want to add generational uh, slang and a look, right? You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to tell new stories inside an OER. It also is much easier to go ahead and break and make an OER more accessible. And of course, accessibility is, I think, we're all waiting to be shoved off the cliff in April in terms of getting our materials ready. Yes? So OER, by virtue of having the ability to go in there and change formats and do things with it, makes reaching that, it drops that technical barrier to accessibility, making that quite a bit more easy. Okay, so a quick refresher about OER. Can never assume that everybody knows all the basics of OER, but if you've already heard this, either please stop me or just let me know. So thank you so much. All right, so OER, we all know that that stands for an open educational resource. So these are materials that are always free to use, no cost. And they have what's called a Creative Commons or an open license or a public domain license, something that grants the user specific permissions and ways to go ahead and change the item and modify it. So the power here is that you get to keep them, as in, retain it. You can reuse it as many times as you want. You don't have to keep paying for access. You can revise it, right? You can make changes and updates. You can remix it. I'll take this part here and this part over here and bring them together. Yeah, you don't get to do that with a traditionally copyrighted piece of material. And of course, you can take your new version and redistribute it. These things are called the 5 Rs of open, the retain, reuse, revise, remix, redistribute piece. They are not to be underestimated. They are very powerful. All right, a little bit about open licensing. So the most common copyright that you see applied to open educational materials comes in the form of what's called a Creative Commons license. So there are 6 licenses and they can exist in various permutations, but the building block licenses are these that you see here on the screen, these 4 right here. So the first one, just a little human being in it, says that you owe the author attribution, right? Authors still retain the moral right to be identified as the author of their work, right? So we never back away from that. It is always present. The second one with the funny little recycle sort of symbol going on there is share alike. And this means that for whatever license you choose, if you add the share alike attribute or share alike license to it, in the future, any subsequent use must have that exact same license, including that share-alike piece added to it, and it continues on throughout the lifetime of that particular item of your OER. The non-commercial piece is something that people in academia particularly tend to want to apply, so any subsequent reuse cannot be made for profit, right? So that's a very typical one that you see. The most restrictive building block in a Creative Commons license is this bottom one, this no derivatives piece. So this means that we are not going to be able to remix or revise this particular item. You cannot change it. That is not a right that the author of the piece is granting you via a Creative Commons license. This is not very common at all. In the world of Creative Commons licenses, this is a rarely seen license, but held for reason and given there in the case that the author demands it. So that is something that you will also see at times. Over here on the right-hand side of the screen, you'll see a couple of public domain symbols. So the public domain refers to creative works that are not protected by copyright anymore or never had it in the first place, which means that anyone can use them freely without needing permission from the author. So you will also see that second symbol, which looks like a copyright symbol, except with a slash through it. And we all know from signage that the slash through it means that we are negating that particular property, right? So this means that the item perhaps previously had been in the public domain, but the copyright has either been expired or no longer renewed, or the work wasn't eligible for copyright in the first place. All right. These are the 6 common licenses that you see attached to works that are given a Creative Commons designation. So some of these, they're actually kind of lined up from the least restrictive to the most restrictive. So over here on the top left side, you've got the least restrictive license that there are, and this is a demand for attribution, and it allows all of the other possible uses, including a commercial use, and it does not, in fact, restrict the remix or redistribution of an item that bears this license. This is probably one of the most common licenses that you will see out there. A lot of folks who donate their stuff to the Commons, they use just a plain CC BY license on it. Then you've got the second one, which is that attribution and share alike. So this just means that if you are a downstream user and you would like to use this thing, the original author is asking that you maintain this share alike purpose to the work in any future designation. The third one just restricts the use of the item for a non-commercial purpose. So no profit can be made from redistributing the item. On the fourth one, you have both attribution, the non-commercial piece, and the share alike license. So now we start seeing the restrictions begin to pile up, and it becomes a little bit harder to go ahead and reuse this in any way possible, but in only certain ways possible. And then, of course, you have one of the more restrictive ones with that non-derivative license applied to it. So the last two here are two of the most restrictive, the one on the right being the most restrictive possible license. So anything with that ND license on it means you are not remixing it, you are not revising it and making a new edition or a new version. You don't get to change it any which way. It must remain in that form in which that original author intended it to be. So these are the kinds of licenses that you would see on items. Typically, there's also a little piece of text that goes with it that will say, "Hi, I'm a Creative Commons." It might have the name of the work and the date, so you know you've got a copyright date, and then the license will be spelled out. It is often hyperlinked, and it will go to the Creative Commons and reveal the layers of a license. So there's a human readable version of the license, and then there's a machine readable version of the license, and then there's the legal contract, and all these things are linked together so that the license travels through the bounds of the internet and all users have access to that. They're also available in a wide variety of languages. All right. So we have a few more agenda items here. So we're going to look at a few tools, but first I want to talk about where you can find OER in order to go ahead and start your transformation process. We'll also look at a couple of tools. I believe my colleague Syed is just itching to do Notebook LM and possibly generative textbooks. And then I might do, I don't know, ChatGPT or Claude or something else if there's a demand for it. All right, so in order to go ahead and feed your need for material, we can go ahead and look at a couple of repositories. This is, although there are 3 listed right here, there are many more, and I'm happy to drop links in chat here in a minute and give you some other guidance to other places to find things. But OER is a movement, or the Open Educational Resources movement is just about 26 years old. And the single oldest repository, which isn't listed here, is called Merlot.org, and it has 2 million items in it, all free in various permutations for reuse. Um, Today, we're highlighting OER Texas, which is, of course, a state repository for items that are most particularly aligned to our state core curriculum requirements for higher ed. If you were to search it, there's a little drop down that you go ahead and select our state, our requirements, and then you know that anything that has been tagged with that will go ahead and help meet our public course I can't talk anymore. Our core requirements for a public course in the state of Texas. Another possible source, since books are still, what we do here in academia, is the Pressbooks directory. So Pressbooks is an online platform that you can use to create ebooks and distribute them, and they have a huge catalog because at this point there are Syed, how many different schools or institutions do you think are in Pressbooks at this point?
All to together, or
How many different schools or institutions?
I don't know. That's a great question. How many?
Hundreds?
Yes, I imagine.
Well, all right. I'll go with dozens until we find out it's hundreds. But anybody has got between one and a couple hundred books lodged in these that have been made and that are hosted by various institutions. Um, they are easy to read. They have a beautiful layout. They can be made interactive through the use of H5P. They will come with like an online glossary. They have images. They do all kinds of things, but they're a more interactive way of a student dealing with the text. They're terrific. So there's a directory that includes another 8,000 items that have already been used and vetted by other people. There is also another source hosted by our colleagues at the University of Minnesota, the Open Textbook Library. They have, again, over 1,700 textbooks. Many of these have been used and reused and adapted in different places in the US and Canada. And one of the fun things about the Open Textbook Library is that they maintain open peer review. So if we were to go there and just put in psychology and pop open a book, you would be able to see peer reviews from faculty members across the United States. It might have one, it might have three, it might have eight, but you would be able to see a signed peer review from Dr. David Smith at the University of Nevada at Las Vegas thinks XYZ about this particular item, right? So nothing anonymous, nothing, unsure about it. You know who thinks what. And you can go look up that guy and say, okay, I could believe this guy. He seems to be, a well-vetted member of this field, right? So open peer review. This is an absolutely wonderful thing, and the world needs a little bit more of open peer review. But these are three places you could look. And after Syed takes over, I am going to drop some more links in the chat and give you even more sources to look for. So, uh, all right. I take that back. Maybe it's Syed's turn already. I was going to keep going. So now at this point, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Syed, and he is going to take you through Notebook LM and show you what this free and open material can be made into through the power of AI. Syed, please take it away.
Thank you, Hannah. Appreciate you. Uh, could I share my screen?
Yep.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. And can you see my screen, folks?
Hmm.
Oh, wonderful. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Uh, And all right, perfect. Thank you very much. Well, yes, our first tool that we would like to showcase here, and I know CTE also encourages faculty and the students to use, is Notebook LM, which is great when you want to create content that is really grounded in the materials that you upload. Uh, it can still hallucinate, but it won't pull in random outside info because it's not connected to the overall internet. So let's say you upload an open educational resource chapter or your course syllabus into Notebook. It can generate summaries, Q&A sets, explanations, lesson prompts, all based only on what you provided. And it is great way to create consistent prep materials, especially if you're teaching multiple sections. Here's a quick look at how I use Notebook LM with one of my own courses. I uploaded the full syllabus, and from that single document, Notebook LM generated a video style podcast summary, a syllabus quiz, a mind map, and even an infographic. And the students can also interact with the syllabus inside Notebook LM. They can ask questions, get explanations, and check their understanding. It's really easy to make a syllabus more dynamic and a student friendly that way. I'm just showing the screenshots right now, but if folks are interested, Hannah and I can walk through a live demo during the Q&A part of the presentation. Also, this is another example, but this time I uploaded an open educational resource into Notebook LM. I used the full book as a PDF, but you can also upload chapters individually if you want more focused ancillaries. And from that OER, I created a slide deck, a quiz, a video overview, and a set of flashcards, which are all grounded in the uploaded OER as well. Again, I'll stick to the screenshots for now, but if you want to see how this works behind the scenes, we're happy to demo it during the Q&A. Another way you can use AI and OER in teaching is what is known as generative textbooks, which are built on the trait hypothesis. Basically, the idea that AI can support learning more effectively if it's structured like a trained teacher. On this slide, you're seeing a piece of what is called teacher-like language. This is the kind of structured instructional guidance you as a faculty member can copy into any model to build interactive learning activities. In this case, an interactive simulation. As you can see, for instance, it says, you're an expert instructional designer and interactive learning developer. Create an interactive simulation to help college students explore and understand a specific course topic. So this is the teacher-like language that a faculty member can create and then share with their class. And what is important here is that the language becomes the foundation of the activity. And the model follows whatever procedure you give it. So the instructor, as the instructor, you can shape the whole experience. You can provide sound, pedagogically grounded instructions. You can tell the students exactly which AI tool to use. You can guide them to upload the specific OER materials like chapters or a whole OER textbook, and then have them move into a generative textbook style conversation with the model. Basically, you're designing the learning environment in advance, and the AI follows your flow. It's really a flexible way to create inquiry-based or exploratory learning activities this way. And here's where that language actually comes from. And this example is pulled from Gen Text Studio. That's David Wiley's project, which has a whole collection of teacher-crafted prompts, topics, and activity frameworks you can browse and even contribute to. It is a great place to find inspiration for assignments, simulations, and module activities that already have a strong pedagogy built in. The one I'm showing here is about memory. And all I did was to take that structured language from Gen Text Studio and drop it into Gemini. And this is what the model produces from the teacher-like language, a generative textbook style activity that the students can actually interact with. So you're giving the AI clear structure, and it's giving you something that's not just a summary, but an actual guided learning experience. Again, if anyone wants to see how the prompt turns into this output, we're happy to walk through a demo during the Q&A. All right, and AI tools can also save a ton of time with visuals. You can ask Gemini or Copilot for diagrams, labeled illustrations, or concept visualizations. Of course, you still want to double check the accuracy, especially with science or anatomy images, but these tools are great for quickly generating custom visuals for your class. Here's an example. This starfish diagram came from a super simple prompt in Gemini. As can be seen, it generated a detailed labeled illustration almost instantly. And here's another example. This one came from Copilot. we asked it for an illustration of the interior structures of the eye. It took a little longer than the Gemini prompt, but it still produced a pretty detailed diagram. Again, this requires double checking, but generative AI is a great tool to create quick visuals for a lecture and any other uses we want to use it for. And finally, one of my favorite uses of AI is translation. You can take an openly licensed text and translate it into a different language. For example, here we translated the frequently asked questions page of our open publishing guidelines into Spanish, Farsi, which is my first language, and Georgian. As a native Farsi or Persian speaker, I can tell that it is a very good translation. But and definitely needs double checking with anything we get out from an AI model. But yeah, I could verify that it's pretty accurate, at least for the Farsi version. All right, a few best practices you build things as you build things. Work with openly licensed resources. It keeps everything legal, and also document your sources and prompts as you go. Always check AI outputs for accuracy. AI models tend to hallucinate, so it's always required that we double check and also keep attribution chains, and whenever possible, share what you make with the world under a CC license as well. To wrap up, here are the big ideas. CC licensing gives you the legal clarity to use and adapt materials with AI. Attribution is simple once you build it into your workflow. You can use the TASL format, which stands for title, author, source, and license, to make sure you attribute correctly. And also, AI plus OER is a powerful combo for efficient ethical course development. And finally, start small, try a chapter or a single module and see what works for you. And as always, it would be great if you could share your work with the community. And if you want help exploring tools, finding OER, or setting up an AI workflow, feel free to reach out to us at the OpenEd department. We're always happy to walk through projects, brainstorm ideas, or help you find the right tools or resources. And this slide also lists some links to AI tools and OER resources. Feel free to check them out. And that's it. Thank you so much for being here. We're happy to take questions or talk through any ideas you're thinking about at this point.
All right. Thank you so much, Sayed. And
Yeah, so right now I'm in Notebook LM, as you can see, and I have uploaded my syllabus to Notebook through the Add Sources option. Once I click it, it allows me to upload my sources directly from my computer and also from Google Workspace or a link, or paste the text right into it directly from here. And I have already done that, and this is my syllabus already here. And on the right, under the studio column, I can select the types of ancillaries that I would like to create for my content. So as you can see, I have already created a video overview for it, and I can click it, and it will get me to the video podcast that it has created for this purpose. I can go ahead and share the sound really quickly. I would be optimizing the sound for now, but let me share a little bit of this so that you can take a listen.
Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we're doing something a little different. We're taking a course syllabus and we're going to deconstruct it piece by piece. We're mapping out the entire journey of a course on computer-assisted language learning, or CALL, to really see how it's designed from the inside out. So I think we've all wondered about this, right? This course is basically built around that exact question. It's designed to push you past just using the latest flashy app and really dive deep into understanding the true impact of technology on language learning. It's all about being thoughtful, not just tech savvy. Okay.
All right. Yes. So this is just a demo, and as you can see, it's amazing, right? So it has just turned my syllabus into this story and podcast, and it's very. I personally find it very fascinating to just interact with it in a video fashion, especially if I want to listen to it when I'm on the bus, or I don't have to go through pages and pages of a syllabus. And there are also, I mean, I have also created a syllabus quiz for it. When I click it, it asks me 10 questions based on the content. And let's say, according to the syllabus, which of the following assignments is designated as a group activity? Let's say reflective essays. And the answer is not correct. The right answer is uh, the assignment description explicitly states that the students will work in groups of 2 to 4 for the application workshop piece. So, and as the developer, I could tell it's if it's good content or bad content so that it can revise itself if it is hallucinating, right? So I say it's good content, and that's feedback. There is also a mind map based on the syllabus, which also breaks down things and make things easier to understand for students, depending on the nature of things. And this is also very good, a very good ancillary um, to have with the syllabus. And then there is this final uh, infographic based on this course syllabus, which tells you the percentages of the activities and everything else that you would like to and you would need to do. And you can also select other types of ancillaries to create based on this content and by clicking them. For instance, I could create a slide deck. When I click it, it would take it a minute to generate the slide deck. And once it's there, you could just uh, load it. And this gives the students another means of representations based on universal design for learning, which Armanto could talk about more. And so multiple means of representations, multiple means of interacting with the content to make sure everyone can interact with it and engage with the content. Yes, this is Notebook, and we did two, one for the syllabus and the other one for the book. Same process, only I uploaded the whole textbook into a Notebook, but uh, you could also upload chapters of the book so that the content is more focused. And I forgot to say, you can also interact with it by text. Students can start typing here. For instance, there are some suggestions here. For instance, how does call effectively integrate technology to meet the specific measurable language learning objectives? I could just select that as my prompt, but it is also possible to start typing and create your own prompts to interact with the content. Yeah, so this is Notebook LM, and I'll now pass it on to you, Hannah.
Okay. All right, let's see here. I think I'm on the wrong window. Hang on. Where's my window? Okay. Uh, we'll take this one. All right. So another thing that I've had to do recently is I work with faculty, and in my previous state, Louisiana, I worked with various faculty groups to create create or adapt an open textbook and an entire course to go with it so that they can make use of open educational practices. And then we mount them in our state library's Moodle, and then anyone can download them and add them to their courses for any number of great reasons. Same kind of thing like Texas, they're geared towards our state standards. So this is actually a chapter from a book I worked on 2 years ago. This is lifespan development. And this is a chapter about early childhood development. Um, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop on down to the bottom of this chapter, and I'm not going to take the references because my goal here is to turn chapter 5 into some quiz questions for my students to take so that they can go ahead and make sure that they have actually mastered this material in time for the final. So I'm just going to run through here and grab my material. Easy peasy. You don't have to take the images if you don't want them. That's certainly fine. But we will just go ahead and grab the mass of it. I'll leave my adorable little girl right there, and I'm going to grab that content. I'm going to pop over to chat.tamu.ai. And we have, of course, a whole suite of different AI applications to choose from. I'm not fussy or an expert when it comes to choosing my AI model. I'll leave that to the true experts. We have a colleague who dearly loves to use Claude. She refers to Claude as one of her best friends. Um, but I'm certainly fine. I can live with ChatGPT, and I am going to ask ChatGPT to do this. Um, please, because a polite librarian is a good librarian, please create a 5-question quiz suitable. I can't type. Suitable for a final exam with with the correct answer and a rationale for that answer provided using this material, right? And so I can go ahead and pop that in there, hit go. And so my message is off, and it is certainly working on creating 5 questions out of this chapter so that the students could go ahead and do a bit of self-assessment. And here you see them just magically appearing in their own time. So we have a question, it will go ahead and indicate what the correct one is, and then it will give me a rationale for the correct answer so that if we're doing a formative assessment, let's say it's something that I give students as a review help the last week of the 2 weeks before the semester ends to say, here's a set of review questions. If you can master this material and ace this quiz, you will be in good shape to go ahead and take this particular final. So here's question 2, da 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 da. Question 1, the correct answer and a rationale, right? Easy peasy. So that this will go ahead and you don't have to go through and either comb through or find questions or create questions and spend all the time and effort it takes to go ahead and write it out and format it and put the rationale in. So this becomes an easy thing to add to a document, edit as needed, and go ahead and add that to your course as, say, a review piece of material for a final, right? Easy peasy, real fast. So I just did a set of these as review material for another course. And it takes more time to reformat it and make it work for you than it does to actually work on it. So that's pretty shocking. But
It
very
is
easy.
fascinating.
But very easy. And
Yeah.
so far, I haven't noticed a lot of hallucinations given the material I provided it. So all
Mhm.
the questions have actually been quite good and correct even. So good news on that front.
So to add on what Hannah said, so basically when we are using this Temu chat.temu.ai, it's within our closed loop IT system. So whatever you prompted here or whatever you uploaded here, it's not going anywhere. It will stay within A&M. So I will say this is the most safest environment for us to upload any kind of materials for generating using AI. And if you see this module is basically we are using different type of models of AI. There are from OpenAI, which is GPT 4.1, 5.0, O3, O3 mini, O4. But you can also try different LLM models, like from Anthropic, there are Cloud, there are Gemini as well from Google. You can also make comparisons side by side by adding different model by using this plus sign. So you will see those different model generating at the same time, which where you can compare it directly between uh, 3 or 4. You can do it. It's getting messy if you put too many things on your screen.
Sure. And this is just a simple thing. Obviously, it's not nearly as sophisticated use of it as someone else, but this was the need I had. My faculty didn't have time to make review questions. So I'm like, okay, I'll make review questions. You guys just review them and tell me if they're good, right? So simple thing, same thing for you. You can put in a minimum of effort to create something and spend more time reviewing, formatting, and making sure that students understand how to use this.
Yeah. And even on top of that, you can also always make your feedback personalized with your students. So let's say after your module's done and then you're reviewing their quizzes and you can see there are some misconception on certain things, you can fit your AI with the same material, but ask them to focus more on where your students do have a misconceptions. So that will generate another resources for them to learn or to catch up with their misconceptions.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And may I add that at the moment, copyright requires a human author, so things created by AI do not qualify for copyright, so they are in the public domain. So you're in the clear. So this content is a derivative of the textbook, which is already has been. Could I
Yep,
start
yep.
sharing? All right,
Okay.
wonderful. Thank you. All right. Okay, so yeah, this is the website. Can you see my screen, by the way? Oh, perfect. So yes, this is generativetextbooks.org. It's a project by David Wiley, which we shared already. So you can log in with Google to start authoring activities for their project. But if not, you could also start learning, and it takes you to the available generative textbooks that others have created. So for instance, this topic, Introduction to Psychology, has been developed by David Wiley, and it has 16 topics in it and 4 activities. And other folks and people have also created other content. So I'm going to go with demo Introduction to Psychology, and then you can see the topics that they have. So let's say learning. So once you're here, you can select an activity. You have multiple activities. You could have a classical conditioning simulation, or a conversation, or an interactive simulation, or a practice quiz conversation. So the language, the teacher-like language, has been created for the purpose of the activity that you would select. So let's say I would like to have a conversation with one of the AI models, let's say Gemini. And what I will do then is to select the conversation tab, and it will tell me a prompt has been copied to your clipboard. When you click continue below, you will be forwarded to Gemini because I selected Gemini. You need to paste the prompt into the chat box and hit enter. You can paste either by typing CTRL Control plus V or by right clicking, etc., etc. So if I click continue, it will take me to Gemini, but I already have Tamu's chat open. So, and I know that the prompt has been copied into my clipboard. So I will select Gemini from here, let's say 2.5 flash, and then paste it here. Oh, so maybe not. Maybe it hasn't been copied. So how about now? Probably it's been copied now. There we go. So it's been copied now. So you need to click continue for it to actually be copied into your clipboard. And you can see this is the teacher-like language. Greet me enthusiastically and ask my name. Wait for my answer. Then show me the topics in the outcome tag as a numbered list, etc., etc. So I'm going to go ahead and try this to see if I would have a conversation with Gemini based on the prompt. Hello there, future learning expert. I am absolutely thrilled to embark on this journey of discovery with you today. What's your name, if you don't mind me asking? I would say, hello, my name is Sayed, and then click, and then there we go. Wonderful to meet you, Sayed. It's a pleasure to have you here. I've got some fascinating topics about learning that we can explore today. Take a look at this list and tell me which one sparks your interest the most. And then I can select the topic which interests me the most, and that the conversation will continue surrounding the topic of learning that I chose. I could say one, let's say one, and the conversation will continue. Excellent choice, Sayed. Topic number one is a fantastic place to start, etc., etc. So yes, this is uh, the Gen Text Studio. It has a lot of topics, focus on several areas. You can create topics for other faculty members and users, but you could also come here and use what others have been using and share the language with your students and ask them to simulate the same conversation. And you could also edit that based on your needs and what you want your students to do and learn. All right.